Hey guys, so I'm here with a Kindred mask tutorial or time-lapse video, whatever you want to call it. So the first thing I did was print out templates that I found online through Google, and this specific one was made by Atashi Cosplay, I believe it was. I will link the specific one down below. And then I just cut those out and then trace them onto EVA foam.
Keep your words naked. You got me blushing. And you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever.
Originally, I was going to make the lamb mask 2 layers, but I decided to change my mind and do it a different way, which you will see later, and I will get more into that later. So, kind of just skip this step, but make the mask into 2 separate pieces. So because of the way I want the wolf mask to bend, I cut around the top half, or like I cut it out, but I didn't actually make it 2 separate pieces and then outlined it like you can see right there, because that's where I want this kind of dramatic bend to happen. This will probably make sense a lot more in a little bit when you can see how I actually bend and shape the mask. But for now, I hope that made sense.
Forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow. In immortality, I can see.
I also made the wolf ear part 2 separate pieces as well, because I want to be able to bevel the part where they meet so that they bend a certain way, which once again you will see in a little bit. But right now I am just cutting all of the pieces out. So here I'm just using a reference photo that I have, or that template, whatever you want to call it, and trying to copy all the little lines or carving in the mask as accurately as possible. So this is originally what I wanted to do with the lamb mask, have it be 2 layers, but later on I'll decide that I don't really like how that's looking, so I will trace that top half out and then cut that off in the bottom part and glue the 2 together to make them 1 layer, which you will see again more later. So once I finish drawing all the lines, I take a soldering iron and just go over that to create that little carved out look, or like wood look that the masks have. And in the areas where I want it thicker or deeper, I just press harder with the soldering iron, and in the areas where I kind of want it to feather out and blend into the rest of the mask, I let up on it.
Keep your words naked. You got me blushing. And you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow. In immortality, I can see you and me.
hard to see here because I didn't realize it wasn't in focus of the camera, but I'm just using a Dremel to kind of smooth out the edges, and I actually do this with all of the pieces even before I start carving, but I'm just going back over and smoothing out some of the other edges and the carvings because the soldering iron makes it a little goopy in some spots. Also, I am smoothing down the bumps that are usually on the back of at least the EVA foam that I buy, because I was planning to just glue this on top and I wanted it to be flat, but I changed my mind, so that wasn't really necessary. And this is where you can see that I decided not to layer it, and I cut out the top half and the bottom half to make it separate. And what I did was kind of cut at a diagonal, like towards the underside, and then Dremel that down so that the edges were beveled, so that when I glued them together, it would create this bend in the mask just naturally, and I wouldn't have to worry about shaping it as much with a heat gun later on. It also just creates this sharper bend, like more sharper than you would get with a heat gun. And here I am beveling the edges for the wolf mask, where I want that same sort of bend to happen that I have going on with the lamb mask. And back to soldering the little indents or carvings.
Don't taste me rushing and keep your words naked. You got me blushing. And forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow. In immortality.
Soldering on all the lines and carvings on the mask was definitely the longest part of this process, and probably took an entire day. And now I'm attaching the ears. I had already beveled the edges and made them come to a slope so that when I glued them together they would create a bend the same way I did for the mask. And now I'm heat gunning it. I guess I didn't get too much of the ear part filmed. Sorry about that. But yeah, now I'm just taking a heat gun and on a mix of both high and low settings, heating up all the EVA foam and trying just to shape it as best as I can into the shape that I want and holding it there until it cools. For that little symbol in the lamb mask, since I had changed my plan like halfway through to just kind of fix that and make it possible since I wasn't layering it anymore, I took a thinner piece of craft foam, also EVA foam, and just kind of glued that on really messily to the underneath and then added the carvings in. Now I'm just going ahead and priming both the masks with wood glue. I'm probably doing about 3 to 5 coats. real fast, since I didn't get footage of this for the ears for the lamb mask, all I did was cut that edge where it meets the mask, or what connects to the mask, at an angle so that it will sit the way it's sitting there, as you can see. I made sure to press really hard with my brush, or just take a thinner, more sturdier brush, and pressed harder into the lines and the carvings that I created so that the wood glue wouldn't kind of fill it in, because I don't want that filled in, and wood glue likes to do that sometimes. But if you see me swapping between two brushes, that's probably what I'm doing. Now I'm taking Bondo and filling in the seam lines that I don't want to be there, and then I'll be sanding that down once it dries. That's it for this video. My next video will have all the painting parts for the lamb mask. Thanks for watching!